Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews, and actually, that's what I figured. It was going to be a fairly small week. The first few months of the year are always pretty slow, but there's some really good stuff and a couple of surprises. So let's get going. We'll start off with a wonderful hardcover, the Normalman 40th anniversary hardcover. By Jim Valentino, was created back in the 80s. Originally started at Renegade Press, which was kind of a spinoff from Dave Sims' Aardvark Vanaheim. And so it ran for 12 issues. Then there was some specials and stuff at Image. So it includes everything. So it was written and drawn by Jim Valentino, but there was an issue by William Missner Loebs for Journey that had Normalman in it. And then there's also a Megaton Man, Normalman crossover book with that he co-wrote with Don Simpson. And the artwork was by Don Simpson, Larry Marder, and Bob Burden, and many others, little itty bitty cameos. So that was really neat. It literally reprints every Normalman appearance there was, including there was an Epic Light that was done by Marvel. It was a bunch of indie creators that did this book for Epic line, which was creator owned. And so it was really nice to see this. It's a really nice package, and like I said, it includes everything. It's really well done hardcover, and it's only $50, and it's really a good deal. The reproduction's really good, which is nice. It's something I remember from that period. Basically the premise is it's think of Superman, but instead of being sent to an Earth where he's the superhero, it's the exact opposite. Normalman's the only normal person on the planet and everybody else is superheroes. So that's the setup. And the really neat thing that Valentino did was a lot of issues were kind of homages. I wouldn't say they were parodies. They were definitely homages to certain things, like American Flag. Richie Rich was one of, so kind of a, somewhat of a parody of Harvey Comics. And it's really a fun book. I definitely really recommend checking it out. I'm a really big fan of the book, and it's really nice to see it in a complete hardcover with every appearance of Normalman. So that's a big win this week. Now to the regular comics. First up, we have Ultimate Spider-Man #1, written by Jonathan Hickman with artwork by Marco Cicchetto. So this is the beginning. Marvel's bringing back the Ultimate Verse. Now, I never really read much of the Ultimate universe when it was done. Bendis and company did it back then. So I'm coming in kind of fresh to this. So the premise here is that the maker prevented Spider-Man and other heroes from coming about. He didn't have the radioactive. He kept the radioactive spider from binding Peter Parker. So now we have this alternate timeline where Peter Parker is just a normal guy. He's married to Mary Jane. They have 2 kids. But what the maker? So Tony Stark learned of the maker's plan to. He found out what the maker was doing, so he tried to stop him, and the maker basically destroyed part of Manhattan, killed thousands of people, and blamed Tony Stark for it. So everybody thinks Tony Stark's the villain, but he really isn't. So now Aunt May is dead, but Uncle Ben's alive, and Peter works for the newspaper that Uncle Ben, is the editor-in-chief. And so what it is Tony leaves him the gift of the spider, and this is what you were supposed to do. So that's really a setup for this issue. I really like this, and once again, this is a rare Marvel book that is good for new readers. It tells you the Tony Stark thing at the beginning, like in the front page, and then it just tells the story. It's off to a good start. I think the thing is going to be, where is Hickman going to take the story? First solid issue sets everything up. Great, you got everything, but where are you going to take it? I did really like this first issue, but ultimately, the series is going to have to kind of stand on its own. Where are you going to take this? Is it just going to be a Spider-Man book, and now he has spider powers. I don't know. We'll see. But Hickman did a really nice job of setting things up in this first issue, which is a huge plus. Chichetto's artwork is really, really nice. He recently worked on Daredevil. I really, it's really a good looking book. I really struggle with a lot of Marvel books, but I have to say I did really like this one. It's well worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Action Comics number 1061, written by Jason Aaron with artwork by John Timms. So this is a new jumping on point because Jason Aaron's starting to write the book. And So if you haven't been reading, Action Comics or any Superman books, this is a good jumping on point. So basically, it's a story about Bizarro, and we know that Bizarro's the opposite of Superman. He talks the opposite and everything. But basically, Bizarro's kind of lost and trying to find, his way back to his planet. He ends up in the magical realm where they try to destroy him with magic. Well, now, of course, magic affects Superman, but it does the opposite with Bizarro. It gives him, super magical strength. And so he basically he comes to Earth, goes after Superman, and Superman kind of gets the snot beat out of him. And there's a nice little twist that Aaron does at the end that kind of the, magic, there's kind of ramifications of the magic in Bizarro. It really is. It's off to a good start with this first issue. I really liked it. John Timms is really good art. The artwork is really, really good on this. But it's I really, I've really struggled recently with a lot of the Superman books, but this is a good jumping on point. I like this first story. I like that he used Bizarro. He's not, the typical, Superman villain, and I like what he did with the whole magic twist. I think it's well worth checking out. Especially if you're a fan of Superman, this is a very good jumping on point. So hopefully they'll keep Superman and Action separate, kind of like a Detective and Batman are right now. So hopefully that'll happen with these books. Next up, we have Deep Cuts number 4, written by Kyle Higgins and Joe Clark, with artwork by Ramon K. Perez. So these are standalone single issues, so you don't have to read 1 through 3. They're all standalone, and they're about jazz music. There's some sort of angle with the characters in jazz, and in this one, it's set in 1956. Darian is a very gifted musician, but he's struggles with both mental issues and trying to get his life and the band back together after he went to prison. And so really it's about him and the former bandmates and him trying to get his life together, and kind of how we all kind of struggle through life in a way, but his struggles are kind of much greater. And then at the end, you understand why he's been struggling. It's a really, really neat, I don't want to say twist, but a really great ending to the story. And Perez's artwork is really nice. I've really enjoyed these. Like I said, they're standalone stories. And this one's really good. Although I will say there were a couple times I had to kind of go back and kind of check and say, okay, is this character? Not that it was unclear. It was just like, it's a very, I think part of with this, you really need to take your time to read this story because it's kind of very dense. And so if you kind of breeze through it, you're going to kind of miss stuff. And I think that you really want to take your time with this to really let the story seep in, so you get to, understand everything, and that's actually a good thing. And like I said, Perez's artwork is really, really nice. This is a really good book. I'm really liking these. Like I said, they're individual stories, and you can just pick up this issue and you're perfectly fine. Next up, we have Disney Villains, Cruella de Vil, number 1, written by Sweeney Boo, with artwork by Mariana Peglia. So this is post 101 Dalmatians, and Cruella has been exonerated because there's no evidence of what she did. So she's trying to kind of get back into the, graces of, high society. But, she's kind of willing to do anything, but, the dogs, all the dogs are after her because they know what happened. So that's really, what the premise of this particular story is as opposed to 101 Dalmatians. I found it to be okay. It wasn't like it wasn't great and it wasn't terrible. It was just kind of okay. It's like, okay, she's trying to get her life back together, but she's a villain, and it's kind of like I didn't feel like she was very villainish, in a way. It just, like I said, the story kind of sat there for me. I mean, the art, I will say, Paglia's art's it's actually nice, has kind of an animation type style to it. But overall, it was kind of there. It didn't really do much for me. I mean, your mileage may vary on this, but I just thought it was kind of okay. Next up, we have Masterpiece number 2, written by Brian Michael Bendis and with artwork by Alex Malavy. Yeah, Malavy. So basically, what the premise is there's this girl, Emma. Her parents were these famous thieves. They stole $2 billion from Zero Preston, and now he wants revenge, and he's taken his revenge out on their daughter. So they end up, they're being watched by Zero's men, and then there's this character Paragon who shows up in this issue, who was kind of like, he went after, he was like Robin Hood, but killed, or really beat the snot out of, people that deserved it. And so what it is her dad, Emma's dad, worked with him, so that's how he kind of knows about her. And so what it is Preston is trying to, Emma she can't repay the money, but he needs her to do a task. And so basically she wants to get the band back together of who her parents worked with, but they're either dead or missing. So she's got to get a new team together to basically screw Preston, kind of a reverse, screw. She's screwing, he's screwing her, she's gonna screw him. So that's kind of the setup for the second issue. I really like the first issue, and I think the second issue did a nice job of building nicely on the story. Like I said, Bendis lately has not, it's kind of been hot and cold, more cold than hot, but him and Malavy really are, the team's back together, and I really like the premise of this book, and I like how the story is unfolding. So it's well worth checking out. I know this book's kind of flown under a lot of people's radar, but definitely I think it's well worth checking out. Next up, we have Petrol Head number 3, written by Rob Williams with artwork by Pi Par. So Petrol Head, so what it was is they used to have these robot racers, and, it was kind of like a, spectacle. And then they basically, the overlords of the city decided not to have races anymore. So a lot of these robots have just been, kind of doing normal lives in robot, basically in the smog zone. And so what it is, there's a dad and Lupa, his daughter. Basically he creates some nanobots or something, and then the government or whatever, the overlords, are trying to get it back, and that's how they end up with Petrolhead. And he gets shot, and they end up going into the smog zone. And now they need help. So he's getting help from some of his rivals, starting with Hybrid, who was one of his challengers in the races. And so, so that's a basic premise here. I really, this is like, it's the third issue, so we're kind of in the middle of the story, but it is moving, Williams is moving things along nicely. And we're starting to kind of learn, kind of like more about the robots, because, the initial setup is like, oh, they're just drivers and stuff like that. So we're still starting to get them, but we're also getting them at their new life, new life of trying to be normal, which is not very normal. But I'm digging the story. I think Williams is doing a really great job. The Par's artwork is really, really nice. This is a really good looking book. I'm really, like I said, I'm really digging it, and I can't wait to kind of see where Williams is going to take the story with this. So definitely still worth checking out. Next up, we have Zorro, Man of the Dead, #1, written and drawn by Sean Gordon Murphy. Now, this book was originally, it was a Kickstarter book, but what it is they are putting out because originally it was done as a graphic novel, but it is broken up now into issues. And so what the premise here is that there was the story of Zorro, and then they're having a celebration of, like, 100 years of, Zorro, saving the town and everything. And the father is, playing Zorro, and the son, his two kids, Diego, his son, and Rosa, his daughter, are there, and they're little kids. They're like, 4 or 5. And what it is El Rojo is like the drug pen, and kills the father, and then it goes into the, kind of present day, where Rosa is now working for him, is like a driver. And then Diego has now grown up, but Rosa has not, she's kind of, because she's kind of involved. She doesn't want to get Diego involved with, like, the drug cartel. But basically what it is, their stories collide, and Diego takes up, his father, because he thought his father was Zorro. And so he takes up the mantle. He's been training with, as a swordsman and stuff. So now, that's the basic premise. Once again, I think we're all fans of Zorro. I think, there's been a lot of, great Zorro movies, series, comics. I think Murphy has kind of come up with a neat thing of kind of bringing it in, more modern audience, but with still the flavor of what Zorro is about. And I think that's kind of the what's smart and makes this really unique, is that, he's updating it, but he's not changing what makes Zorro works. And that is, what you want to do. You don't want to change what works. You just want to maybe tell a different story within that parameters. And that's what Murphy's doing here. Then, of course, the artwork is, it's Sean Gordon Murphy. So it's really pretty. Well worth checking out. I really like this book a lot. Definitely check it out at your local comic shop this week. Next up, we have Fishflies, #4, written and drawn by Jeff Lemire. So we have Francis is taken the guy who shot the kid at the convenience store has been transformed into this giant fish fly monster, and Franny is basically kind of befriended him. And, Danny, the cop, is trying to find the bad guy, but, nobody knows that he is kind of turned into this monster. And so there's also kind of a new subplot going on with, Paul, the boy who was shot. He's in a coma in the hospital. His mom, Helen, is there, and she sees, she has this vision of this woman. But we don't know what that means. So obviously that's going to unfold. And then we also, what the neat twist in this issue is that this creature may, we don't know, this creature may have happened before, because there's a stranger who kind of knows the creature. I don't know that he knows that it's the guy who shot the kid, but this creature may have existed before. So that's a whole new, like, whoa, what's that? Y'all know I'm a big fan of Jeff Lemire's, and I'm really, really digging this story. I love his artwork. I know his artwork's not for everybody, but I really like what he's doing. How there's a lot going on here, but the story is just so well done, and definitely well worth picking up. I dig this book. I'm very excited to see how it all comes to, how it all finishes. Next up, we have Transformers #4, written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. So Starscream has basically, really went after Optimus Prime, blew his arm off. So he, during the battle, Spike, the boy that kind of, brought them, revived them. He's been injured really bad. And so Optimus is taken to the hospital. Well, of course, Starscream is like after him. They get to the hospital. Starscream's like, hey, there's people in there. I'll just start killing them. And, so, the hospital's kind of bombed, and, basically the Autobots, are able to get them away. And then, the hospital's losing power. Optimus saves, gives some of his energy to help save him. I love this book. First of all, I'm a huge Daniel Warren Johnson fan. He's a great writer and an artist, but I like Transformers, but I'm not like a huge Transformers fan. But man, this book is damn good. It's got a really good story. I love his artwork. It just, because it's not like a license. It doesn't feel like a licensed book. I think that's the biggest thing I can say about that. And that's why it's working so well, is it doesn't feel like, oh well, we have the license for this, just get some average creative team and do it. No, Daniel Warren Johnson's just knocking it out of the park on this book. And it's amazing. You should be buying this book, even if you're not a big Transformers fan like me. Buy this book. It's just that damn good. Next up, we have Wesley Dodds' Sandman, number 4, written by Robert Venditti, with artwork by Riley Rossmo. So now we know in the last issue that, Dodds' diary with all his gas formulas has been stolen. We know that there's, kind of a villain, the Fog. And in the last issue, the Fog used his gas against him. So now, basically the first part of the story is Wesley's kind of having these nightmares. And it's not just nightmares, but it's nightmares about his life and how, it kind of picks the bad, maybe the bad things that happened in his life, or he did. And so, so now he's like, this is, he's trying to stop, whoever stole the diary with the formulas. So, he's trying to backtrace, who could have been involved. And, it looks like Colonel Breckenridge might be involved with this whole thing. We're not quite sure. But I'm really digging this. I'm a fan of the kind of Silver Age, characters. And this is definitely, Vendetti's really done a nice job of capturing the spirit of the period and also the characters. And then I love Riley Rossmo. He's such a great artist. And it's just really like the whole nightmare sequence is just amazing. I mean, it really shows you how great of an artist he really is. But also, when people are just standing around talking, once again, I always say, if you can pull that off in the artwork, then you're a really good artist. So, definitely continue. I love this book. You should be buying this book. Next up, we have The Madness, number 6, written by J. Michael Straczynski with artwork by Aiko. So now this is the final issue, and I know it's going to be really hard to find it. So definitely, pick up the trade when it comes out, because I really like this book. Basically, what it is Sarah has this, kind of being in her, the madness. And what it allows her to do is she can have one power at a time. So she can fly, she can have super strength, et cetera, et cetera. And so what it is she was using her kind of powers to, like the Robin Hood thing. She was not stealing from banks. She was stealing from the rich to support her family and stuff, because she didn't want to be part of, the council anymore. So they tried to kill her, but they ended up not killing her, but the family. So she's been going after everybody who was involved. So now we're down to the last 2 people, which is the Captain Micron, who dropped the bomb, and then Darius, who runs the thing. So basically, this is the final culmination of the whole story, and it was great. I really like this book a lot. Straczynski's story was really, really good. It wasn't just, it's a revenge story, but it's so much more than that. And there's a lot of layers to it that were really, really wonderful. And then Aiko's artwork, I mean, it's a gorgeous book. It really was very solid. I really like this book a lot. Well worth checking out. Like I said, it's going to be tough to find the 6 issues, but I know the trade's going to be coming out soon, so definitely pick that up. Well worth checking out. Straczynski and Aiko really knocked it out. They hit a home run on this one. I really like that book. And finally, this week, we have The Sacrificers, number 6, written by Rick Remainder with artwork by Max Fumara. So now this is the end of the first story arc. So we know within the last issue that Luna, who's the daughter of the Rokos, the king, was kidnapped by his, kind of second in command, who basically, we learned what the Sacrificers do. They basically use people to keep eternal youth. It's like they've discovered the kind of the fountain of youth is the essence of people. And so Luna has discovered this. She's really disgusted with her father. And she goes to find out what's going on, and then she gets trapped, and then his second in command basically starts sucking, the essence out of her. And then Pigeon, who we, kind of how the story started, stumbles across, saves Luna, but also like, is really upset because he knows what has been, he knows from his side what has happened. So there, he saves Luna, but then like she doesn't want to, like, she wants to be saved, but she's like doesn't, and he's pissed at her because he's like, you're part of this. So it really is, there's a lot going on in this, for the end of this first story arc, and it's really quite interesting, and there's some twists and turns I don't want to give away, but I'm really digging this book. The story's really really good. It's really intense at times. And Fumara's artwork is really, really good. It's really a good looking book with a solid story. I know it's once again, it's kind of like it's going to be tough to find the first 6 issues. So I know the trade's going to come out of this first story arc. So definitely check it out when it comes out for sure. That's going to do it this week. Like I said, it's a pretty small week. Still lots of good stuff. And, even if there's something, not one of these, with when it's slow at times at your comic shop, hey, pick up a trade and, look for some other books that maybe you've missed, throughout, like, the last few months. So, as always, public service announcement. I'll get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner, the owner, he runs a great store. There's Annie, there's Wendy, there's, Derek. Derek does all the social. Check out their Facebook pages. They always keep up to date. They do a great pull service so you don't miss any of your books. It's a really good comic shop. If you're in the Long Beach area, definitely check them out. It's a really good, solid comic shop. Then that's what you want. But no matter where you are, definitely support your local comic shop. Times are tough. I know some stores are really struggling. But definitely, if you've ordered stuff, definitely pick it up on a timely basis. Just really support your local comic shop. It's they're really the backbone of the industry. And as always, we end our show with be kind to each other, and be kind to yourself. I know things are kind of tough out there. I know, like the job market's not great. But definitely, being kind to others is really good for you, but also being kind to yourself is very important. You don't have to do big things, just do little things. Trust me, things are expensive. What you earn is not good, but just try to be positive and, be kind. It's important, and it really, in the long run, you're better off. You're a better person by being kind to both others and yourself. That's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. As always, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's greatly appreciated. Comments are always welcome. Like I said, I'm trying to do some new things, but it's really tough with the 9-to-5 job. But fingers crossed, hopefully we'll get some stuff done soon. I know I always promise, but it's just been tough lately, as you all know. So thanks for watching again. And like I said, please like and subscribe, and please share our videos. It's really great. And like I said, comments are always welcome. I know I'm repeating myself. So that's it this week. Thanks for watching. And once again, be kind, take care of yourselves. We'll do it again next week. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. All right. Have a good week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.